Hello, everyone. In this week's episode, I'm going to start a mini series where I remodel Harve's Photopia. I will explain where I got the idea from to do this and what motivated me to build his first room like I did. I got the idea from watching Jane Plays. I was watching one of her live streams and she accidentally went into Photopia before talking to Harve so she could do the anniversary photos for Reese and Cyrus for the wedding month. And I saw that Photopia was decorated like a living room on her live stream. So that's seeing that inspired me to make his house more livable. I've always felt bad for Harve because he never had a house. It's always been a studio and nowhere for him to relax. So I wanted to give him a beautiful living room. To me, Harve looks like he would live in a cabin off in the woods, away from society and the big city. To me, he seems like that he doesn't like the hustle and bustle of the big city. Another reason why I decided to do this is because Harve reminds me of a photo that my mom used to show to me. It's a photo of her and her ex-partner when they were dating. Harve reminds me of him. She went with him to the original Woodstock with his family, and she said that she had fun at the festival. The photo that she showed me, he had shades on and a headband, and he gave off Harvey vibes. I used the vintage sofa. I also gave him a TV over the fireplace. I also gave him a cherry blossom clock because my mom loved the cherry blossom season in Animal Crossing. I gave him a retro stereo because my mom told me that they used to listen to records together. I also added the blue rug because it's a reference to Doctor Who. In each build for this miniseries, I'm going to try to add a reference to Doctor Who. I added the ACNH version of the Nintendo Switch because my mom loved ACNH, and I also added the regular Switch because my mom told me that they used to go to the arcade together a lot. I added a guitar because my mom told me that he taught her how to play guitar. I remember my mom telling me that his mom had a Nordic shelf just like the one in game, so I added that to Harve's living room. The framed posters are a reference to what my mom told me, that he always used to be with his camera and ready to take photos. The other framed poster is looks like a stained glass. It was a reference to something my mom said that his mom had. It was a stained glass, and it was with a hook and a suction cup on it, and you can hook it to a window. The hanging terrarium is a reference to him liking plants. The fancy frame is a reference to an old painting that she said that his parents had, that the eyes would follow you when you walked past it. The art plaque is a reference to my mom's love for museums. She used to love to go to museums. I added the Isabel and Brewster photos because my mom really liked both Isabel and Brewster. She felt sorry for Isabel because Isabel has to work really hard and never gets a break. I decided to add some candles because my mom used to love to burn candles. I added some books because she said that he loved to read, and so did my mom. But my mom liked video games more than reading. Again, thank you for joining me in this week's episode of the remodeling of Photopia. I'm a really big fan of Harve, and I really enjoy making Harve his own. I wanted to stay with the theme for Harve's house as a beautiful, cozy cottage. Like I said last week, Harve deserves the best. I used a combination of items to give Harve a cozy kitchen. I understand that why his house is empty. It's so you can have different sets for your photos, but I only use one room for taking photos. So I will not be decorating the right room. That's my set for my family photos for Halloween. I used some of the ranch items and some of the ironwood items in the Turkey Day tables and chairs. I wanted to add more photos on the wall because he loves photography. And I added the fish plaque because to me it fits because the fish plaque represents fish, and with everything else that's for on the other plaques, the fish plaque is the only one that you can really cook the creature that's on the plaque itself. I added some paintings to the wall too. To me, Harve looks like he's a collector of art. I also added the framed poster, but I put a design in the frame that looks like a painting because it reminds me of something that Harve might paint. And Harve looks like that he loves to paint. To me, seems like that he would be painting to keep himself calm. Also, it feels like that Harve likes art and he considers either painting or music or photography as art. And Harve acts like that art will be soothing the soul no matter what kind of art it is. Harve smiles deep down inside if he knows that his art had helped out somebody. I added the Casablanca lilies to the table because my mom used to tell me that her ex that I was talking about last week, he used to give her flowers. He alternate with her two favorite flowers, lilies and hyacinths. I added ramen noodles to the kitchen island because I really love ramen noodles. And I also really love cherries. That's why I added the cherry smoothie. I also added some candles because my mom used to like to use candles to make the house feel comfortable. I also added the light bulb sign because it looked really cool, and my favorite version is the black and white version. It reminds me of something that you would see in a mom and pop bakery. How Harve got the thing was that he bought it from his favorite shop that went out of business. Harve wanted to keep the business alive. Let's get into the episode where we build a bathroom for Harve and Harriet. I like to think that Harve and Harriet are a couple. So I wanted to give them a beautiful bathroom. I used my favorite flooring, the Moroccan tile flooring. I've always liked that flooring in the game. I added the pink claw bathtub for Harriet and the square bathtub for both Harriet and Harve. I also used the wooden toilet seat version of the toilet because that's my favorite version of the toilet in Animal Crossing. I think it's actually pretty cool looking that instead of just the standard white toilet seat that you get on a lot of toilets, that you actually get the wooden one, and to me that looks just more awesome than the plain white toilet seat. For the pink claw bathtub, I decided to add the bamboo rug for like a mat when you get out of the bathtub so you won't slip and fall. The other reason why I added the claw bathtub is because Harriet looks like that she likes some fancy items, but she also is into more of the common items too. Because Animal Crossing doesn't have shower curtains, I decided to use the artful screens as a privacy barrier for when someone's using the shower and also the square bathtub. I also added some dark wood flooring tiles around the square bathtub because I wanted to add protection so you can get out of the tub and be safe. And I also thought that the bamboo bath mat wouldn't look good around the square bathtub because it wouldn't. I wanted it to look where it's seamless all the way around. I also added the toilet cleaning set, and I also added some toilet paper to the build. I also added a towel rack to both bathtubs so you can have something to dry off after you get out of the bath or shower. I also added some pictures on the wall to make the bathroom more comfortable. I used the simple sink because I always liked the simple sink, and Harve is a simple man. I added some plants to the wall because, like the lazy neighbors always say, that the plants eat up the bad air and burp out the good air. I also wanted to add something for Harriet in the bathroom also, so I added a makeup table next to the dresser that is in the bathroom. I added the cherry blossom clock because I feel that it fits, and also I've always wondered why nobody ever adds a clock into the bathroom. It'd be very good if they did because you can tell the time and you won't be late. I also added another bamboo mat so Harriet can have something comfortable and soft to put her feet when she's doing her makeup and her hair. This is one of my favorite builds. For the bedroom, I wanted to give a combination of both of their likes and hobbies. I added the switch lights because both of Harve and Harriet love video games. To me, both of them like The Legend of Zelda. To me, both Harve and Harriet like to debate on whose favorite character is the best. While Harve likes Minoru, Harriet likes Tulin. Neither one of them argue, but they like to debate on whose character is better. But Harve respects Harriet's favorite character, and Harriet respects Harve's favorite character in the Legend of Zelda series. That is why I put both posters of Tulin and Minoru in the bedroom on the walls. I also added the Paradise Planning Cup because I think it's really cool looking, and also I think that Harriet would like to enjoy some tea before she goes to sleep at night. Now, on the other side of the bed, on the nightstand, I put a Nintendo Switch Lite because Harve is like me and loves to play video games before he goes to bed. I really love the Artful bed. To me, it's my favorite bed in the game. I really enjoyed it when they added it to the 3.0 update in Animal Crossing New Horizons. To me, it doesn't look like it's a fancy bed. To me, it looks like a really comfortable place to just lay down and go to sleep. I also added the wall air conditioner because Harve wants to make Harriet feel comfortable, and he knows that Photopia gets really hot during the summer months. I also added some plants because Harriet loves to garden. I added the wall shelves because I really like them. They're really cool looking. And I decided to change the magazine cover on each of them. One of them to music because Harve loves music. And the other one is I changed it to gardening because Harriet loves to garden. I also added some posters to the wall, like the Paradise Planning poster. I really liked the design of that poster. I added the frame poster and I used the pattern, the stained glass pattern, because I think that Harriet would like to have made some stained glass and she'd like to put it up in her bedroom. I also had the frame poster and put the paper pattern because it's an article about the opening of Photopia. I wanted to build something special for Harve. I started out with a natural brick flooring because it looks simple. I also chose the blossoming wall, the beige version. I wanted to make a podcast area for him. Harve looks like that he would have a podcast, and I think that his podcast would be about photography and also video games. I also added the vintage sofa because Harve looks like that he would like stuff that is very vintage and older. Items. I added the laptop and professional headphones for his podcast. I also added some posters and the light up sign and the Majora's Mask to make his podcast area feel more like a lived-in studio. I also added the light up sign because Harve is obsessed with that sign, and so am I. I really like the sign, it looks cool. I added the Majora's Mask on the wall because Harve likes The Legend of Zelda, and also I knew somebody that had a Majora's Mask statue that you can put on the wall. I also added some plants to his man cave because he also does like plants. Harriet always likes to talk about plants, and Harve got really into plants because of listening to her talk about plants all the time. So I added the fan palm, the hanging terrarium, and the greenhouse box to his man cave. I also added the gaming PC and the gaming chair because on Harve's free time, he loves to live stream video games. I added the pirate map rug because it looks really cool when it was put underneath the gaming PC. I also knew somebody that had a rug like that under her gaming PC that she had. I also added the blue foam box to his man cave because it reminds me of the TARDIS from Doctor Who, which everybody who is watches my videos knows that Doctor Who is my comfort show. I also added the Nordic shelves because I really like the Nordic shelves and it would fit in his man cave. I also added a Nintendo Switch Lite. He has two Switches because there's a game that he plays and you can't have more than one farm on the game, so he has to have two different Switches so he can have two different farms for the game that he likes so much. I also added a Paradise Planning candles because Harve loves candles and he feels that they're calming and makes a house feel like home. I added the framed poster to the wall in the style of the bridge, and I'd like to think that Harve took the photo of the Brooklyn Bridge on a trip to New York City with Harriet. I also added some posters to the wall to make his man cave more lived in. I also added the Egbert poster because Egbert is one of my favorite chicken neighbors. So I added him to the wall in the bedroom last week, and I also added him to the wall of his man cave this week. I also added the air conditioner because he wants it cool in his man cave. I added the Tree Bounty Mobile because I like to think that he got that from his grandmother because she made it for him. And the reason I added the framed poster is that I like to think that they both went to New York City in between New Leaf and New Horizons on a vacation, and they decided to take photos all over, and they wanted to take pictures of places that they've wanted to see ever since they started going out with each other. This miniseries was really fun. I would like to thank Jane Plays for the inspiration for this miniseries. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.